Hey guys, welcome back to my series in installing Hadoop on Amazon EC2 instances. This is part two of the series. If you haven't done part one, I'd suggest you go there and do that as soon as possible. This series here, this part will be installing Java and Hadoop as a single node. Most importantly, we want to make sure that Hadoop will run as a single node on each one of our clusters at minimum, and then we will start to push it out as a multi-node cluster in just a moment. So why don't we get started here? The first thing that you should do is restart your cluster if you haven't done so already. I've already done that, but if you haven't, go to Actions and Reboot in your Amazon console. So the commands for installing Java are quite simple. We have to update our packages first. Mine are fairly up to date, I believe, in these. Oops, let's just run that one again. It was a little slow. There we go. Run our packages. There we have it. Okay. Now it should be fairly simple. Quick process. Next step, install the default Java JDK using our apt-get. And this is, again, very simple to do. Okay. Good. All right. Now, mine was fairly quick. I have it pre-downloaded, so just for this video. But yours, you will see that it does a few unpacking and setting up there. So now, what we want to do is just confirm that we actually have Java available on our system. And what it should have done is installed into USR lib JVM, and let's find out if it did. Oops. Now let's go to this way here. Pushing the wrong buttons there. Okay, and USR lib JVM. Okay. Now the one that we're most concerned about right now is the default Java. This is an alias that takes us to our Java 8 folder. Okay, so you can safely assume that it's been installed easily. All right, next step. We want to install our Java variables or environment variables in our bash, or sorry, our big data sh. So let's go ahead and do that. On each one of our terminals, let's just execute this code. Okay. And that just came from right here. All right. Now we should confirm that that those variables went into our big data. We'll just make sure, and it looks like they have. That's very important. And because we've made some changes to our environment variables, now we need to reboot. So we'll go to reboot. Okay. You'll notice our terminals are starting to shut down, and we'll just give it a couple minutes to restart. In the meantime, let's just progress ahead. So here, at this point, we've done our reboot. Once it's back up and running, we should test that we have our Java home variable available to us. Okay. Okay, let's see where we're at. Hopefully, nope, not quite yet. Okay, that one's running. Start this one. Okay, now let's just test the ones that are running here. Okay, looks like we have our Java home there. Looks good. Looks good. Excellent. Okay, fantastic. Okay, now the next step it shows here is disable IPv6. It appears that in Hadoop version 2.9 we don't need to do this, so we can safely ignore it. We'll just move ahead. Okay. Now our next step is to download and install Hadoop. Okay. Now my installation may take a little longer than yours. I'm on a bit of a slow connection today, it would appear. So bear with me while we download. So we'll copy that command, paste it, paste that into all four of them. Excellent. Now, one thing that I can do as well is I could download it to one machine and then offload it into my Hadoop cluster folder and then copy it over from there. But this one is a little less complicated if I just simply go ahead and download all of them at once. All right, our next step, we'll just explain what we're doing next, is we're going to extract the files that we downloaded into the USR local directory. Okay, this will create a folder in the USR local directory with that name right there, the one that I'm highlighting. Okay, and it's basically because this is the name of the tar file that it's extracting. So if I copy that command, okay, looks like I've got my name node is ready to be done. So I'm going to do that one right now. Looks like name node 3 is ready. So I'm going to do that one too. The other two we'll just wait for. The next step is that we are pushing it into a folder that is hard-coded with a version number. I don't like it being hard-coded with a version number because I would just want it to be the Hadoop folder. Your production machines may be slightly different, but essentially that's what's happening. Okay. Now let's just check over here our progress, and looks like our data node 2 is ready. Okay, and data node 1 is almost there, so I'm going to do that right now as well. Perfect. Okay. So we're going to do our folder rename. Do that. Looks like data node 2 is ready, data node 3, and data node 1 is done. Okay. Now what that did here is, just so you are familiar, it created a Hadoop folder, okay, in our user local. Okay, this is where all the Hadoop files were extracted. Okay, now the next step that we have to do is push our environment variables into our Hadoop installation. So I'm going to do this by copying this code, and we're going to execute it on each node. Okay, and once it's executed, again, we do want to make sure that we have the correct information in the file. So I'm going to go back to profile D and just double check what our information is here. Okay, so far we're looking good. Our configured directory, our data home directory are there, our Hadoop home directory are there. So this implies that we can now safely do a restart here. Now, we will go through the console in EC2 dashboard. Once again, just do instance state reboot. And of course, this is because we've just made some changes to our environment variables. Now, there are ways of instantiating your environment variables just like this. You can go ahead and do that. I don't think this is really the safest way to do it because it will double up your path entry, and we don't want that. Okay. Once we've safely rebooted, you may want to check that you have a variable for Hadoop home. We'll wait for our systems to reboot. Okay, let's see what we've got here. Yep, we're fast reboot this time. Good. Okay, restart all those nodes. Okay, we'll go back, copy our command for Hadoop home. This is sort of our benchmark that we want to look at. We want to make sure that that variable is available everywhere, and it seems to be. Okay, Now, you'll notice this command here. Okay, this is not necessary on Amazon EC2, so you can safely move ahead. All right, the next step that we have to do is build our data directories. And we do that by copying this code here. This does just a make dir in our data home folders. Okay, and I'm going to show you where that was created. So if I look in the home directory and refresh, you'll see that I have our downloads. That's where we downloaded Hadoop. And this is now the folders that we created right there. Okay. Excellent. Now let's move on to making some configuration changes. In this point here, this is suggesting to change the ownership to root. You don't need to do that. We are usually running under Ubuntu in this case, but in a production environment, you may want to consider different security privileges. In addition, we also have a 777 permission level. You don't need to do this as well, so we can safely move ahead. All right, now the next step here was we're going to edit our Hadoop environment file. Now this file resides in the Hadoop configuration directory, which is the Hadoop home folder and etc Hadoop. Okay. Now, we are going to start to make some copies of these files because we do kind of want to ensure that we have backups of them. So in this case, we're going to make a change to the Java home reference. Here it says we need to reference a full path to our Java home. So we're going to do that right here. And we will save that. And looking good. Okay, good. So we don't need our environment shell file open. You notice I comment out the old reference. I didn't delete it. This is just in case I have to revert back to what was there before. Okay. Now the next step is suggesting that we start to work with our core site XML. I have a couple custom variables that I refer to often. One of them is this name node and the other one is home folder. This name node refers to, in this case, because we're on a single node, it refers to the local host. And the home folder refers to the home folder of the current user. And you can see its usage right here because we are referring to the temp directory. We're pushing it into our Hadoop data folders. Okay. Next part here is our default FS. This is an important one because this is the port number that anything that is accessing our HDFS will need to reference. DFS permissions turns off the permission set in our HDFS so that it doesn't ask us for permissions every time we want to do something. All right, so let's copy that core site configuration section, paste it in. There we have it. Okay. Now we'll move in down to the yarn. Okay, we're going to do the same thing here with yarn. We're just going to copy the configuration, go over to WinSCP, and yarn is down here. And we'll just paste over the configuration. Okay. Go back over to the website here. And now with MapReduce site, MapRed site, it's a slightly different process. Now, in this one, you'll notice that I'm not highlighting the sudo part of this command. That is because our Ubuntu user, in this case in Amazon EC2, is already a sudo user, so we don't have to use sudo. It will just make a copy of this template file and rename it as MapRed site. Okay, we have to execute this command on each one of our terminals. All right, next step, we're going to change the permissions level to a 644. Doesn't really make any difference whether it's 644, but it should be readable, and that just makes it readable. All right. If you happened to use the sudo command, you may need to change the ownership to Ubuntu. Let's just confirm in our folder here what permissions are set on our MapReduce. Okay, this is the file we just created. It is already the owner of Ubuntu, so we don't need to do anything there. Okay, let's move ahead. Now we're going to open up that MapRed site, and we're going to take the configuration and paste it into the new MapRed file. Okay, we'll close that up. That was fairly easy. Last one is our HDFS site. Okay, and HDFS site is right here. All right. Now the HDFS site will have some modifications at some point when we get into multi-node. This is the only modification it will need. Right now it is only replicating on one node. Eventually it will be replicating on 3 nodes. The other part is indication of where our name node directories are, and that's in our Hadoop data folder. Once again, our home folder is used as a variable there as well. Okay. And we'll close that one with saving the changes. Good. Let's keep going here. All right, now you'll also see that it suggests to change the ownership of the folder. Again, we don't need to do this on Amazon clusters. Now, at this point, I'm ready to officially format my Hadoop cluster. And I'm only if you're noticing what I'm doing here is I'm only going to be formatting it on the name node right now, because I'm just going to test it on this node. This is the one that is important to me. If all went well, you should only see infos here. Okay, you may see warn periodically like this one. You can safely ignore that one. Okay, next step, let's try to start our DFS. If all went well, we should have a running version of our HDFS ready to go. Okay. Now, in the meantime, while this is starting up, I'm going to go grab my public DNS that I used for my name node, and I'm going to try to reference the external HDFS summary here. Okay, and everything seems to be working properly on that. So we have one live node. This is an important step here. As we grow this system out, we do want to make sure that everything is functioning correctly across all the nodes. So we will perform that check every time. All right. Now, the next step. Now, I'm gonna do a couple copies here. So I'm gonna scroll down. And because I didn't make any changes across the other nodes, I'm going to actually do that with this command here. I'm going to copy the configuration files to all the nodes. And essentially, that's just going to copy everything so that all the nodes have exactly the same configuration. All right, so if I just prove that, because I remember I just started everything on name node, I want to just go and prove that and make sure that my changes came over. Okay, I can look at my Hadoop environment folder or file, and you'll see that change is there. And let's just do sort by changed, and that way it sorts it by date. You'll see that my core site is there. So it looks like my configurations came over quite well. All right, so I am going to now format the other clusters. Okay, just go ahead and do that. And again, if you see anything that looks out of the ordinary, just check it out and make sure that it's working. All right, now we're going to start the dfs.sh here. Okay, we'll start it over here too. Good. All right. Now, we're going to test that they worked, and it looks to me like this one here somehow had it running already, so I'm going to stop the DFS on this one. So we'll stop that, just make sure we don't have anything running here. Somehow this was running. I must have run it during my break there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a stop all on this one, just to make sure that I don't have anything running out of the ordinary. Okay, good. So this one is working, and we appear to be running properly once again. Okay, so we're going to do a start and a DFS there. Okay, and start DFS. Now we'll go back over and just copy over our DNS host names into our browser, and we'll do the same process just to make sure that it worked. Whoops, gotta put the right port in there. Looks great. So far so good. We have one live node. Excellent. Let's go to the next one. Okay, now this is a very important step because again, if something goes wrong here, you can imagine what's going to happen on the other ones. Now here's something that did go wrong, so I'm going to check that in a moment. And we'll just check our data node 3. It's hard to say what happened with data node 2. Okay, so data node 3 appears to be working. And let's see what's happening over here. Ah, I haven't run it, that's why. That's why. Okay, we'll run that, and that should be working. So we'll go back up here in a second, and we'll check out our data node 2. So something is going wrong there, but I'm going to check here and see if it is working. At least it should be working. We can check out the other stuff later on. That doesn't seem to be anything that's going to stop this process from working though. Good, okay. Now the next thing we want to do, just double check that we can access our file system. Okay. Now by running this command here, the hdfs dfs ls, all that's doing is just checking, doing a list. Okay. It's just asking us, hey, what files are in the root of our HDFS. Currently there's nothing there, but if something wasn't working here, the HDFS command wouldn't be functional. Okay, so we're looking good on the side of our single nodes working properly. Okay, so that's the end of part 2 of this session. The next part is going to be installing as a multi-node cluster. Stay tuned on this one. Remember to like and share. I very much appreciate your interaction with me. Most of the files and tools that I use during this lesson are available at this URL, and you should be able to access it at any time. Feel free to drop me a line in the comments, and we'll check you in the next video. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great day.